But we're very much not out of the woods yet, right? I mean, the government, to me at least, it's clear that the government is willing to do whatever it takes, sort of give any legal justification, any factual justification whatsoever to put this man back into a detention center. And we all see that there's no reason for that. We see that there's no basis. Yet again, who's keeping Mr. Abergo Garcia in the United States right now is the federal government. Right? Mr. Abergo Garcia, if he was allowed to sort of choose his path, he would have been in Costa Rica months ago, right? And so it's actually the federal government that's keeping him here in the United States right now in order to keep him previously keep him behind bars of an ICE detention center, and now put him back behind bars of an ICE detention center. Again, they're insisting on punishing him and using ICE detention, which is supposed to be just for the purpose of carrying out a removal, using ICE detention to accomplish what they weren't able to accomplish in the criminal matter in Tennessee, which is, to keep him locked up. But we're not gonna allow that. We're gonna keep fighting for a resolution of this matter that keeps Mr. Abergo Garcia free. Right? His priority right now is to remain free. Again, as I said last time, we don't consider justice that he be in Costa Rica. Justice would be that he remain here in Maryland, free from the constant threat, free from the persecution of this government, free from the threat that they're going to try to remove him to, whatever fourth or fifth or sixth African country they can name, free from the threat that they're going to send him back to a detention center in Pennsylvania. That would be justice. But an acceptable resolution at this point is the resolution that he's fighting for, which is the ability to take the Costa Rican government up on their offer of refugee status. That offer's been sitting out there since August. When we were last in court, the government said, "Oh no, that's no good anymore." Costa Rica, there's things going on that you don't know with Costa Rica. Of course, that proved to be completely false, as the Costa Rican foreign minister came out just a few days later and said, no, our offer of refugee status still stands. And that's where we left it. And so that's what Mr. Abergo Garcia is trying to do right now. Right? He is trying to carry out what the government claims to want in this case, which is his removal from the United States. And they're the ones who are preventing that from happening.
Free Kilmar now! 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 Free Kilmar now!
I'll just repeat that briefly in Spanish, and then I'll take questions and answers in English and Spanish.
Okay, while he repeats this in Spanish, quickly here, what I do want to do, you've been listening there, the lawyer for Kilmar Abergo Garcia speaking. Want to recap here because the judge has just ruled that Abergo Garcia will stay free at least until Christmas. That's the ruling we're hearing from the judge right now. Within the last few moments, again, the lawyer there speaking for Kilmar Abergo Garcia, you heard the chant as he began walking away. Let's listen back in as he repeats the statement here in Spanish.
Entonces, en fin de cuentas, el señor Abergo García va a permanecer en libertad mientras las Navidades y el fin de año, pero no está fuera de peligro. Todavía el gobierno está luchando para volver a detenerlo en un centro de detención de ICE, y la jueza tiene que decidir si va a convertir su orden de no arresto que actualmente es una orden temporaria, si lo va a convertir en una orden permanente, o al contrario, si lo va a anular y permitir que lo vuelvan a arrestar. Esto obviamente no hay manera de saber, pero probablemente va a llegar poco después del año nuevo.
Yes, sir. When the judge, she had mentioned about the January 14th date. Just wanted, could you confirm that date for us, please?
Yeah, there's going to be a status report due as well on January 14th.
Okay, no, thank you. Wanted to make sure that.
It's not going to be hearing though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simon, the judge today zeroed in on two errors by the government, one involving the paperwork that Mr. Abergo Garcia was given on his release a couple weeks ago, and the other being an error in one of the government's legal briefs that was filed with the court. What's going to be the impact of those, and why do you think we keep seeing, these sorts of errors in a case that's clearly of such extreme interest to the Trump administration?
Yeah, it's sort of hard to credit the government's explanation that these errors are in fact errors, right? I mean, just You know, how many times have they sort of said, oh, you know, we'll just sort of let the chips fall where they may in this case, and now, of course, you know, it turns out that Todd Blanche has been sort of pulling the puppet strings all along, right? On Thursday, 2 weeks ago, in the morning, Judge Sinis entered a ruling finding that there is no order of removal and ordering the Mr. Abergo Garcia released. As he was sort of walking out of the detention center in Pennsylvania, he was handed a piece of paper called an order of supervision, which is what the government gives someone when they have a final deportation order, right? So the government released him on terms that it releases someone who does have a final deportation order, notwithstanding the judge's ruling that he does not have a final deportation order. And then later that night, an immigration judge, a brand new immigration judge, not the one from 2019, but their sort of hand-picked hatchet man immigration judge, entered a brand new removal order. So, I mean, one could sort of speculate that the fix was in, right? Because at, you know, 4:45 p.m., they're giving him an order that doesn't make sense and would only come to make sense in light of the immigration judge's order issued later that night. So I think that's exactly what she zeroed in on. You know, why are you ordering him released as someone with an order of deportation if I already found that he doesn't have a order of deportation? And the government's only answer to that was, oh, it was a mistake. Sorry about that.
You mentioned in court that he was literally in a double bind. Can you explain and elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, the government keeps saying, and they even filed in their papers saying, look, you know, he's complaining about detention, but he has the end of detention. You know, it's in his power, right? He can self-deport. But that's exactly what he's been trying to do for all this time, right? Is take Costa Rica up on its offer of refugee status, right? And so it was sort of bitterly ironic for the government. They say this in all their immigration cases, you know, where an immigrant is challenging detention. They say, well, if you don't want to be detained, just deport yourself. But for them to say that in this case, where that's actually what he's trying to do, was quite bitterly ironic to
And
me.
you explained he has two bracelets. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, one from ICE and one from the U.S. Marshals.
Simon, given everything that this family has been through in the last 7 months, what, from your perspective, does it mean for him to be home for the holidays with his family?
Yeah, I mean, it has been a tremendous roller coaster of emotions from them, right? On Thursday morning, they get the order ordering his release on a same-day basis. That night, the immigration judge sort of gins up a new retroactive deportation order. He's given a piece of paper saying he's got to check in at the ICE office in Baltimore the following morning. He knows that he's going to be taken into arrest because, I mean, as the judge said, it's deja vu all over again. That's what they do in that office, is they arrest people. That's what they did to him last time he was in that office. Literally, as he's walking up the steps, he doesn't know to the building. He doesn't know whether he's going to come out or not. We get the order essentially as he's going into the building. He learns that he's going to be allowed to come back out again, but it's a temporary order. You know, it only lasts through today's hearing. Doesn't know what, you know, again, comes to this courthouse not knowing whether he's going to walk out the front or back door. You know, the judge extends the order, but now only extends the order for a limited period of time. So it's very, I mean, it's just been one earthquake after another for this family. And of course, I'm sure they're incredibly gratified that they're going to be together for Christmas and New Year's. But the sword is still very much hanging over all their heads. Que ha sido realmente una montaña rusa de emociones para esta familia en la última semana y media. Lo van a dejar libre el mismo día, pero esta misma tarde, mientras él está saliendo del centro de detención, le dan una orden de que se presente en la oficina de ICE la mañana siguiente para que lo arresten. Amanece aquel mañana, sale de la casa no sabiendo si va a volver a la casa. Mientras está subiendo las gradas para entrar al edificio de ICE, recibe una orden de esta corte que no lo pueden volver a arrestar. Pero la orden solo dura 2 semanas hasta la cita de hoy. Nuevamente llega aquí hoy a este edificio no sabiendo si va a salir por la puerta de enfrente o si lo van a sacar de la puerta de atrás. La jueza decide extender su orden de no arresto, pero nuevamente de manera temporaria. No sabemos cuándo va a fallar, pero probablemente va a ser un par de semanas no más. Entonces, seguramente la familia está muy agradecida, muy contentos de que pueden estar con...
All right. So, you're listening in there to Simon Sandoval Moschenberg, the attorney for Abrego Garcia, speaking outside of the courthouse. The judge again ruling that Kilmar Abrego Garcia can stay free until Christmas. Why this has been such a big deal? Because Garcia was someone who was deported, if you guys recall, wrongfully deported to El Salvador back in March of 2025. It was a huge thing. Even some lawmakers, I believe one lawmaker that I can remember off the top of my head, visited El Salvador during that time. The reason he was wrongfully deported because the 2019 order protected him from removal because it said that he would face serious danger there. Public outcry, legal action began this. That's kind of what began all of this. He was brought back. The Supreme Court later ruled, I should say, during all this legal action, the Supreme Court would say, well, it's right for him to go there. Then the federal government brought him back, then indicted him for human smuggling charges in Tennessee. He has since denied this. You've seen there the attorney denying it. Now the question is, should he be in custody or no? And today the judge ruling that he is out of custody at least until Christmas. Now you also see the Attorney General saying Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico, I should say Costa Rica, is where Abrego Garcia is attempting to go, but the government won't allow him to. But the U.S. government is not allowing it right at this moment in time. So we're going to keep watching this as the lawyer there continues to take questions. Let's listen in for just a moment longer.
About a week and a half ago kind of took an axe to that, so they're now flailing around trying to find a separate independent statutory basis for detention. I mean, it just goes to show again that they're just desperate to find any legal excuse, any legal hook to take him back into an ICE detention center, you know, which is of course completely unnecessary given the facts of this case, given everything the government has found.
En español, ¿cómo describe los argumentos de los abogados del gobierno?
Que realmente están desesperados, los abogados del gobierno están desesperados para encontrar cualquier pretexto legal para volver a detenerlo. Realmente ellos son los que hicieron que este caso fuera de tal magnitud de lo que es. Nunca fue decisión del señor Abrego García de ser un caso nacional, de importancia nacional, la Corte Suprema, todo esto. Eso siempre ha sido decisión del gobierno. Entonces, por sus propias decisiones, por sus propias acciones, se sienten de pronto con la espalda contra la pared y están en este momento desesperados de encontrar cualquier pretexto legal para volver a detenerlo.
So, in kind of a technical question,
Sure.
The basis that they're floating now is a pre-final order of removal, right? That they're talking about potentially detaining him again under that. Would that expire automatically in 30 days once?
Yes, exactly. And you know, 10 of those 30 days have already run or something like that, right? So really, essentially, their best argument at this point, and that's giving them a lot of credit and taking for granted a lot of things that we don't agree with, but their best argument at this point would justify them taking him back into detention for 20 days and then releasing him again, right? And so, I mean, there's just...
So you have to be released automatically once the 30 days?
Well, nothing happens automatically. Like, they're not doing anything unless this court orders, but the basis for this court's release order would come right back into play on the 31st day, right? So, you know, January 13th, they'd have no legal justification whatsoever under the sun for continuing to detain him. They couldn't even hypothetically come up. Was sort of the point that we were trying to make. I'll take one last question.
If I can, just to grossly oversimplify what the judge has said the government has to do when they come back to court, what do they have to do to her in order to get the TRO dissolved?
The government, in order to get the TRO resolved, needs to state exactly what it is they intend to do with Mr. Abrego Garcia and what their basis or reasoning for that is. They can't keep going with this notion that, well, we might do this, we might do this, we might do this, and you should let us do it whatever we want, whenever we want. They have to actually come up with a very specific plan and then justify that plan. And that's what they've been ordered to do on Friday, is to specify exactly what they want to do and why it is they think they're allowed to do it. we'll have the opportunity to respond, and then the judge will enter her ruling sometime after the new year. All right, thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty, the lawyer there for Kilmar Abergo Garcia quickly taking some questions. We'll keep our eye on that. You see there are also some protesters there in the back against all of this. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We are going to take you right now